So today's question is more about life coaching topics again. So it's more about self-care, self-love, and self-compassion. So let us begin this video. Om Shanti, my name is Garret. Before I start the topic off, please make sure you guys remember to hit like, subscribe, and comment your learnings in the comment section. Show some love, please, for my contents that I've been producing, okay? So, I'm dedicated to make 4 videos a week to spread more light and positivity out there to the world. It's also nice to know where you guys are tuning in from, so we could actually connect within this space, okay? So, without further ado, let's head into the question for today's AGA, okay? Hi Garret, I chanced upon your channel on TikTok and really enjoy your works there. Thank you so much. From the sounds of your accent, it seems like you are from Singapore because I am too. Yeah, I am from Singapore. Okay, so maybe in the introduction in my YouTube, you probably might have heard I'm from Singapore, yes. In any case, I hope you would pick my question for AGA. Due to the strict upbringing in my family, I was expected to always be performing the best in school academics and work. I realized due to this strict upbringing, I have become a perfectionist and I will give myself a lot of pressure to be the best. However, I don't seem to be able to find a partner and I can't seem to find one that could meet my expectations. Please tell me what I can do to change this, as I'm getting a lot of pressure from my family and friends. Regards, like to remain anonymous. Okay, so from this question itself, you notice how many pressure that you actually listed inside this question. So there's 1 over there, there's 2 over there. So the strict upbringing. So all of this sounded like you came up from a family that was also very relatively stressful. Like I would say, I think I could understand that, because I would like to say that my family and my upbringing is also rather quite strict, so I could understand and I could resonate what it's like to be in an Asian family. Okay, so and I would say that what you are going through right now, being perfectionist, I used to be a very perfectionist as well, and I would say that I would give myself a lot of pressure in order for me to perform my best as well. But as I go through the years and I realize that go through a lot of stress, a lot of challenges, all brought me into spiritual awakening. That made me realize that all this stress, all this pressure, all these expectations, right, is not leading me to any self-love, self-care, and all I wanted was to run away from all of these situations that is causing me this stress. And everything you can run away, right, from your family members, you can run away from your friends, you can run away from all those things that give you pressure. However, you can never run away from yourself, because right now all this upbringing has caused you to be conditioned in a way to be a perfectionist. And I would like to tell you, the reason why you can't find a partner is because your perfectionist syndrome is causing you to have an expectations of having a perfect partner. And whatever partner that you are finding does not meet the criteria that you want. Therefore, you may not want to accept a partner that is far more inferior that you think they are. Okay, so there's this expectations there. Therefore, it's causing you to be unhappy. So what I would like to highly recommend in this video, right, I'll be covering about self-compassion, self-love, self-care. Because like I say, you can never love someone, you can never love another person without first loving yourself. Being perfectionist is good to accept to a certain extent. However, it becomes toxic when you become overly being super perfectionist. Okay, you want to be the best in everything. Okay, so it dictates your life, okay, and the way you think. So it is not too good and it becomes toxic. So and because of that, you don't love yourself as much as you do. Okay, I'm not saying that being perfectionist is not loving yourself, but when it gets to a toxic extent, then you start to not love yourself. And I will let you know certain examples when we go through this topic. Okay, so do you actually ask yourself these questions? Okay, do you have self-compassion? And by meaning self-compassion, right? People with self-compassion, right, are usually happier. That's the reason why I ask you, do you have self-compassion? So what is, first of all, what is compassion? Ask yourself these questions, okay? Maybe the meaning of compassion to different people could mean different things, but ask yourself this question nonetheless, okay? Compassion, right, is concern, sympathy, care, and understanding for the suffering or misfortune of others, okay? And so the opposite of compassion might be disregard or indifference, okay? So what is self-compassion, okay? Well, it's all about those feelings and thoughts that you would have for someone else if you're having compassion for them. So why not have compassion for yourself instead, right? So if you have compassion for yourself, of course you will understand what's compassion like to be in another person's shoes, so then you would be good to others as well, okay? So you're a wonderful, unique being yourself, so you need to know that there's no other person in the world that is similar to you, okay? So why not have compassion for yourself as well as others, okay? So it's amazing how many people are really, really hard on yourself or hard on themselves, like myself in the past. Right now, I'm trying to help you get over this, okay? So don't be so hard on yourself, because being perfectionist is being very, very hard on ourselves, okay? I'm myself guilty and used to be the worst, okay? So like I say, okay, I think many people are, okay? So especially in the Asian countries, okay? And once we can let that go, we feel so much better. Our confidence rises and we have better self-esteem. We take better care of ourselves, okay? Self-compassion is caring for yourself, is having understanding for yourself in a deeper level, okay? It's forgiving, accommodating, and allowing. It's accepting and loving and accepting imperfections of yourself. Because like I always say, there's no perfect being on earth. The only perfect being is what is up above, God, okay? So if you consider yourself imperfect, then learn to accept that. Don't always try to reach for perfection, because we will never get there, okay? Many of us don't care for ourselves too well. We might care for others a lot, like a very devoted mother or a father, okay? We might care for their kids a lot in their family, but not so much for themselves, okay? So if you look at your parents, the reason why I would think that they are strict on you is because they don't want you to go through the type of difficulties in their past. So they want you to have a good life. That's why they are hard on you. So perhaps maybe when they are hard on you, they haven't learned to take care of themselves as much. So now this is coming down all to you in your future generations, okay? You see, you end up feeling a little bit worn out and lower yourself and unable to care for others so well. See, I'm pretty sure this is due to the fact that you are being too hard on yourself and being a perfectionist, okay? So because I was quite narcissistic in the past, so and I think that I was pretty hard on others and I'm pretty hard on my partner, okay? And it's because when you demand yourself to be a perfect being, okay, you're trying to be a perfectionist, right? You also expect your other half, or you expect others to be the same level as you. If not, they are not passing your criteria, okay? So you see, you not only in this whole process, you start to warn yourself out, okay? But you deserve care and compassion too. It's like having understanding for the self, and that's a rather big deal, okay? Quite a big deal, okay? So, because when you're evaluating yourself, or we often do judge and evaluate ourselves, okay? And evaluating ourselves too harshly, we lack understanding for ourselves, okay? Why we did what we do, why we acted the way we did, and why we think the things we do is having understanding of our backstories and leads us to do things that we do, and the reactions that we have is having understanding, where is someone who lacks self-compassion has little understanding for themselves. So take for instance, you see, in this whole process of spiritual awakening, right, I understand that I found out that I'm dyslexic and I'm also ADHD, because all these years through the childhood, right, I was always struggling in my academics because I suck at that and because of this. Okay, so instead of associating myself, after I find out that why am I such a loser, right, then I start to realize that it's not because of that, it's because of how I'm being built. And then I start to understand. Because of this understanding, I have self-care and I have more compassion for myself. Therefore, whenever I want, if in the past, being a perfectionist, I would not even want to do this YouTube channel because or this TikTok or anything, because I know I would suck at it. Okay? But if I would associate myself as a dyslexic or ADHD, right, then I would never ever step out of this comfort zone and I would never eventually grow. So in this whole event, I would actually take down notes in order for me to do videos, in order for me to do better, because it helps to formulate my thoughts a lot better when I speak. You see? So with this understanding, any person could change. Okay? You need to have much more compassion and understanding for yourself. Okay? And instead, berates themselves and is horrible to themselves mentally, directing negative energy towards the self. So if we expect so much from ourselves and we don't perform up to our own expectation, right, we send negative energies, like how we send negative feelings or negative emotions to any part of the injury in our body. Whenever we feel pain in certain aspect, you'll be like, why you feel so pain? Then you'll be like, why is it so painful? Or you will even take medications to instantly try to kill off this pain. So that is not the right mindset. Okay? Is forgiving yourself anything that you judge yourself harshly. Forwards, forgiving yourself for doing it or saying it or not saying it. Okay, whereas you might forgive others certain things, you don't forgive yourself. So you always forgive others, but you don't forgive yourself. So that's being hard on yourself, really. And therefore, you carry that negative energy you all this time. Okay, so being perfectionist may not necessarily be a good thing once it becomes toxic. Okay. So all is accommodating and allowing, and I'm gonna allow myself to have some time off instead of working all the time. Okay, how work is important and everything is and work and academics is all important, right? But you can actually give yourself some time off. Okay, you need to give yourself a break sometimes. Yes, actually, I'm going to allow myself some time. Just like myself, I do 4 videos a week and I do TikTok every day, every 2 videos a day, and I find myself drained because now I'm also a new dad. So I'm also working part-time, and all this is eating up my time. I'm sleeping very little, I'm not having enough sleep, and I'm going through Kundalini awakening. All this is driving me a lot of tension in my body. So I need to know when to take a step back and relax, you see. So I'm going to have to allow myself to have some self-care, allowing this and that, allowing mistakes to happen as well. Okay, no one's perfect, I remind you again. Okay, there are opportunities for learning and growth. From challenges, I'm gonna allow myself that because I'm not perfect. So learn to be in the mind state, the state of mind that I'm not perfect. It's because of this conditioning and this upbringing, right, that has programmed your subconscious mind. Okay, so learn to decondition yourself or reprogram it in the way that you want. So learn to reprogram yourself not to be a perfectionist anymore by saying that I'm not being perfect. I allow myself to be what I am right now. You are reprogramming your subconscious. Okay, so I'm not gonna give myself a hard time about it so much, and it's accepting imperfections when you look in the mirror. Okay, when you are looking at physical things, if you're looking in the mirror, know that it's okay to accept my imperfections. Know that I'm perfect in my imperfections, so that no one is perfect. Okay, and that no one is perfect. Okay, sorry. So imperfections from about the way you do things and your attributes. You know your intelligence, your social skills, your abilities, and your feelings. You know it's accepting all these things you perceive as imperfect and work on them, of course, if you want to work on them. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you want to work on them because you're aiming to be perfectionist, right? So self-acceptance, right, leads to self-love. Once we accept every little thing about ourselves, we can move forward and work on them and change them if we want. Okay, but having that acceptance release this resistance towards the self. Okay, we must know that we, the self, don't be too hard on it. Okay, so therefore, the first one, right, is you're manifesting better. Okay, 2, you're not directing this negative energy towards yourself, and you need care and compassion to like everyone, like what everyone wishes. Okay, to have care and compassion. So everyone wants to have some care and compassion to themselves or somebody to them. Okay, so start with yourself. If you're not taking care of yourself properly or having compassion for yourself, so start that. Okay, so that too, as well as self-acceptance, can lead to self-love. Okay, so instead of being hard on yourself, unforgiving, lacking sympathy, and for your hardship, disregarding your own feelings and needs, right? We must listen to our own feelings, okay, and needs, and not just tell ourselves to shut up and stop it and stop being silly. It's taking time to listen to your own feelings, okay, and needs, that's compassion, okay. And we mustn't remain indifferent to our need for acknowledgement and validation. We might not be getting acknowledgement and validation from anything, from anyone as well. We might feel quite lonely, for example, but at least we can acknowledge ourselves and validate our own thoughts and feelings and wants and needs as well, so that there is someone taking care of us, so we are taking care of ourselves. This is our own journey predominantly, right? So nobody's gonna help us walk this journey but ourselves, okay? So perhaps compare it to how you treat others. So do you view them with compassion, and if you do you view yourself with this much compassion as well? If not, then think about it, huh? So do you see how self-compassion can actually influence how happy we are, how much confidence we have, and how much and over self-esteem as well, okay, etc. So how we feel about ourselves and how we feel about going out in the world and doing our thing. If we lack compassion for the self, we are lacking self-care and acknowledgement, validation and love. So you see, it's actually quite serious if you don't have self-compassion, self-love, and self-care, self-acceptance. Okay, therefore we feel different in our everyday life and less supported by ourselves. Okay, so, and to nurture self-compassion, right, imagine a person just experience hardship, and how do you feel towards them? Of course, you pity them, right? You sympathize with them. Do you feel like it's their problem or they made it for themselves, or do you care and want to offer support? Have understanding, and do you have empathy? Are you trying to put yourself in their shoes? Well, if you can put yourself in your shoes, or you can put yourself in their shoes, then that is really the first step, okay? So now imagine evaluating yourself in such a way. Do you feel you deserve compassion? And if you're saying things to yourself like, oh, you silly so and so, and why did you do that? Or oh, you look at this shitty state that I'm in today. You keep telling yourself all this, okay? Or I'm always messed up. Don't mess up. Or I haven't done enough. And then you end up experiencing unpleasant emotions and like frustration within yourself, okay? Consider that you're not showing yourself enough compassion and care, forgiveness and understanding, okay? So care for yourself how you want to be cared for. You surely deserve that, okay? You really do deserve that, okay? Please. So have understanding and give yourself that allowance you would give others. It's like saying to yourself, it's okay, and now let's work on it, okay? So now can you have empathy for yourself? Ask yourself this also. Is it possible to put yourself in your own shoes? And if that makes sense, okay, that's what empathy is. Is imagining, right, what it's like to be someone else, what they are going through, and then from their point of view, being able to help them better, okay? Can you have empathy for yourself? Because you are you after all, okay? Like I say, your own journey. So oftentimes when we direct that negative comment, us is shouting at its another part. So there's two yous, imagine. So just shouting across each other. The voice in your head might be telling you that you haven't done enough or haven't done well enough, okay? So it's like you're in two minds, and one part of them is telling your other part off, and the other part gets told off, so therefore they can have. So therefore you would think, can you have empathy for yourself? Okay, because another part is shouting and the other part is being shouted. It's towards ourselves, right? It's like one part of us. Okay. So imagine what's it like to be you, perhaps from the point of view of someone else. Imagining what it's like to be you. Okay, so it's a little bit complicated already, but doesn't matter. It's just imagine yourself whether whether you could be in another person's shoe and the person being in your shoes, that's all. So in that way, you could have understanding for why you feel the way you do and why you did the things you did, okay? And why you reacted or had the thoughts you do, okay? So it's having the empathy for yourself as if someone else is having the empathy for you, okay? So imagine when someone else would think if they they were having compassion towards you and have that compassion towards yourself, okay? So I hope that's helped you today in realizing that self-compassion is pretty important, because you're taking care of yourself much better, and just like self-acceptance, self-compassion can lead to self-love, because you're accepting yourself so much more, okay, for letting yourself off the hook, okay? Knowing that you don't have to be perfect and releasing some of these exceptionally high standards that you might put on yourself, okay? And you're just having compassion for the fact that you feel the way you do. If you feel demotivated, lazy, stuck in a rut, unable to do this, unable to do that, or doing things wrong, just let yourself go, okay? It's just having compassion for those things and therefore moving forward and working on it, but with love rather than hatred towards the self. So with all this, right, when you're able to love yourself, therefore you're able to attract others. Because when you don't love yourself, how can you expect to love other people in the right way? Okay, so release this perfectionist mindset and you will start to improve in your life. All this that I've mentioned, self-love, self-compassion, self-acceptance, all this, start to work on it, because that is needed for you to progress on your journey. Okay, so I hope you learned something from this video, and if you do, please make sure to share your comments and learnings in the comment section below. I'm ending this video off. Om Shanti.